This audiobook guides you from despair to clarity, from emotional chaos to disciplined detachment, from confusion to unwavering inner command. You begin carrying the weight of overwhelm, reacting to every emotional wave, tethered to outcomes, validation, and fear. Step by step, you gain awareness, develop boundaries, and train your mind to observe without surrendering. You learn to convert pain into power, release attachment, and cultivate neutrality even in the fiercest storms. By the final chapter, you emerge transformed, steady, grounded, and purposeful. You no longer break under emotion, you rise above it. Mastering yourself, your focus, and the world around you, you've been carrying more than you admit. More than you show. More than anyone around you truly understands. And somewhere inside you, there's a part that's tired of pretending that the weight doesn't hurt. There's a part of you that's exhausted from feeling everything so deeply, so quickly, so constantly. You wake up with noise in your mind before your feet even touch the ground. You feel expectations pressing against your chest. Messages, notifications, unfinished tasks, unspoken fears, they all compete for your attention like a storm demanding to be heard. And you stand in the middle of it, trying to hold yourself together while the world keeps pulling at your edges. This is the silent burden you've carried for far too long. You don't lack heart. You don't lack effort. You don't lack the desire to grow. What you lack is space, the space to breathe, to think, to choose your emotional battles instead of being consumed by every passing feeling. You feel everything because you care. But caring without boundaries is how your strength begins to sink instead of rise. This introduction is your mirror. It reflects what you've been avoiding, the truth that emotional overload has shaped too much of your life. You've reacted when you wanted to respond. You've carried pain that wasn't yours. You've absorbed opinions, disappointments, and conflicts that never belonged inside your mind. You've mistaken feeling everything for being alive, when in reality, it's been draining the life out of you. But here's the shift. Here's the turning point. Your sensitivity is not your weakness, it's your power waiting for direction. The problem has never been that you feel too much. The problem is that no one taught you how to stand at the center of your emotions without being swallowed by them. No one taught you how to observe without absorbing, how to care without collapsing, how to stay warm without burning out. Detachment is not coldness. It's clarity. It's choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's stepping out of the emotional storms long enough to see the sky again. It's the art of protecting your inner world so you can show up stronger in the outer one. And this journey begins now with you reclaiming the space between what you feel and who you are, because you are not your reactions. You are not your wounds. You are not the chaos that surrounds you. You are the one who decides what stays, what leaves, and what no longer has power over you. Emotional detachment is the return to that decision-making power. It's the return to yourself, to your center, to your strength. Your life changes the moment you stop letting every emotion dictate your direction. Your life transforms when you stop absorbing everything and start choosing what matters. This is where the fatigue begins to fade. This is where the heaviness begins to lift. This is where you start learning not to run from your emotions, but to rise above them. Every powerful transformation starts with acknowledgement. And today, you acknowledge the weight you've been carrying and the truth that you don't have to carry it the same way anymore. You acknowledge that your emotional life needs structure, not suppression. Guidance, not guilt. Distance, not denial. You are stepping into a new way of being, one where you feel deeply but hold your power even deeper. One where your heart stays open but your mind stays steady. One where you understand that strength is not intensity. Strength is control. And control begins with clarity. This introduction is only the door. On the other side is the skill that will reshape your life, learning to detach without disconnecting. Learning to stay human without becoming overwhelmed. Learning to stay warm without burning yourself out. Learning to stand in your emotions without losing your stance. And now, you're ready to take the first step. The journey continues in the next chapter, where you dismantle the myth that sensitivity makes you weak and discover that it is the foundation of your quiet, unshakable strength. You are stepping toward mastery, not escape, choosing to rise above the noise and reclaim the calm that has always been waiting within you. Now, Chapter 1. The Myth of Being Too Sensitive. You've been told the same story for years. That you feel too much. That you care too quickly. that your sensitivity is something to hide, not something to honor. And because the world said it with confidence, you learned to shrink yourself to fit their definition of strength. But deep inside, a quiet question always lived. What if feeling deeply was never the problem? That question is the spark that brings you here. The truth is this: you were never too sensitive. You were simply never taught how to stand at the right distance from your emotions. No one explained how to separate what you feel from what you choose. No one gave you the tools to pause, breathe, and steer your reactions. So your emotions flooded you, not because they were wrong, but because no structure guided them. Sensitivity without boundaries becomes chaos. Sensitivity with boundaries becomes power. Think about the moments when you reacted before thinking. Your heart rushed ahead, your words slipped out, and afterward you wondered why you felt so out of control. Not because you were weak, but because you were untrained. Feeling deeply is human, but reacting blindly is what drains you. The world judged your reactions, not your capacity to feel. And those judgments shaped a narrative that never belonged to you. Sensitivity has always carried hidden strength. You notice details others miss. You sense tension before anyone speaks. You read emotions like maps. But without emotional distance, these gifts overwhelm you instead of guiding you. That is why people misinterpret your depth as fragility. They see the reaction, not the potential. They see the overwhelm, not the insight beneath it. And they assume softness equals weakness, simply because they've never experienced the discipline behind true empathy. But now you begin reclaiming the truth. Sensitivity is not a flaw to erase. It is a raw material to refine. When you learn to step back from your emotions, not suppress them, not deny them, but observe them, you become stronger than the people who never learned to feel at all. Controlled sensitivity becomes clarity. It becomes intuition sharpened into precision. It becomes the difference between reacting to life and leading your life. Think of emotional strength like a muscle. It is built, not born. And detachment, the healthy kind, is the training ground. It is the space where you learn to let emotions flow through you without letting them decide for you. It is the moment you choose response over impulse. Detachment does not make you cold. It makes you steady. It gives you the ability to remain open without collapsing under the weight of every feeling that enters your life. You are becoming someone who no longer apologizes for caring. Someone who feels deeply but stands firmly. Someone who understands that strength is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. This shift begins with a simple truth. You are not too sensitive. You are simply growing into the person you were always meant to be, someone who can feel everything yet still choose their direction with intention. Remember the times when people took advantage of your openness, when they mistook your empathy for permission, when they crossed lines you didn't yet know how to draw. These moments left marks, but they also delivered lessons. You weren't broken. You were boundaryless. And boundaries are not personality traits, they are skills. Skills anyone can learn. Skills that transform sensitivity from vulnerability into strength. This chapter is the beginning of that transformation. It is the moment you stop blaming yourself for feeling. It is the moment you stop accepting the label the world gave you. It is the moment you separate your identity from your reactions. You are not the storm. You are the one learning to walk through it with clear eyes and a steady mind. And as you integrate this new understanding, you begin to sense a shift inside you. A new identity quietly forms, one built on awareness instead of shame, direction instead of confusion, intention instead of instinct. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't let emotion drag them into chaos. You become someone who uses emotion as information, not as a command. Sensitivity begins to work for you instead of against you. This is the doorway into emotional mastery. And on the other side waits the next lesson, the realization that detachment is not escape. It is not withdrawal. It is not bitterness or numbness. Detachment is the skill that allows your sensitivity to breathe. It is the structure that protects your depth. It is the foundation that transforms how you feel, how you choose, and ultimately, how you live. And once you understand that, everything begins to change. Chapter 2. Understanding Emotional Overload. You feel the overload long before you understand it. It begins quietly, as a tightening in your chest, a rush of thoughts that collide before you can separate them. One moment you are calm, and the next you are caught in a mental storm that rises without permission. This is emotional overload, the buildup of unprocessed noise, memories, and tension that gathers inside you. It grows each day until your reactions feel automatic, heavy, and completely outside your control. Your emotions often take control because they have been storing years of unspoken fears and unresolved memories. They gather in the background like unchecked files on an overloaded system. Past disappointments, unhealed wounds, and constant comparison mix together until they form an emotional traffic jam. You don't choose these reactions, they trigger themselves. And because no one taught you how to create distance between what you feel and what you decide, you end up moving through life on emotional autopilot. Modern life intensifies this overload. You are bombarded with notifications, comparisons, expectations, and opinions every hour. Your nervous system was never meant to process this much stimulation, yet you absorb it as if you have no choice. The constant noise turns into emotional pressure, and the pressure becomes confusion. You start reacting faster, thinking less clearly, and struggling to separate real problems from imagined ones. Overload doesn't just drain you. It blurs your ability to understand what truly matters. Emotional overload also comes from the loops your brain runs when it senses danger, even when nothing threatening is happening. Old memories resurface as warnings. Small triggers feel enormous. Your mind rushes to protect you, but its protection arrives as panic, doubt, or urgency. These responses are fast, powerful, and automatic. They pull you toward worst-case scenarios because that is what the brain believes will keep you safe. But safety built on fear becomes a prison when left unchallenged. This is why your emotions sometimes feel impossible to manage. They are not isolated moments, they are accumulated experiences spilling over. Each time you ignore exhaustion, suppress frustration, or absorb someone else's tension, the weight builds. Eventually everything spills into your reactions. You say things you regret, withdraw when you need connection, or chase distractions to escape the pressure. These behaviors aren't flaws. They are signs that your internal system is overloaded, saturated, and desperate for space to breathe. Awareness is the first break in the cycle. When you begin noticing your emotional patterns, you create the earliest form of separation. You start realizing which thoughts belong to you and which are echoes from the past. You notice when your breathing tightens, when your shoulders lift, when your mind begins rushing ahead. These signals become tools instead of threats. They give you the chance to pause, observe, and choose differently. Awareness transforms overwhelming emotion into something you can work with. As you develop this awareness, confusion begins to fade. You start understanding that not every intense feeling is meaningful. Some are simply echoes of fatigue or overstimulation. Some are fears inherited from your past. Some are reactions shaped by environments that demanded too much of you. Recognizing this doesn't make your emotions disappear. Instead, it gives you clarity. It helps you see the difference between genuine intuition and emotional noise, between what deserves attention and what simply needs to pass. This clarity marks the beginning of emotional order. When you step back from the intensity, you regain the ability to think, choose, and direct your inner world. You stop being pulled by every feeling and begin guiding your responses with intention. The storm may still exist, but you are no longer inside it. You watch it, assess it, and act from a grounded place. This shift is small at first, but it becomes the foundation for lasting emotional discipline. Understanding emotional overload also means recognizing your limits. You are not meant to absorb everything. You are allowed to filter, to pause, to step away. You are allowed to refuse the chaos that others carry. This is not withdrawal. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that protecting your inner space allows you to show up stronger, clearer, and more present. When the world becomes too heavy, stepping back is not failure. It is strategy. It is strength. And here is where transformation truly begins. The more you understand your emotional patterns, the more predictable they become. And the more predictable they become, the easier it is to interrupt them before they spiral. You start catching the rise early. You start recognizing the trigger before it takes hold. This is how chaos becomes clarity. This is how awareness becomes power. And this prepares you for the next step, identifying your triggers and learning to separate what is signal from what is noise. You are stepping into a new level of self-understanding now. The confusion that once controlled you begins to lose its grip as you gain clarity. Emotional overload becomes something you can study instead of fear. And with each moment of awareness, you prepare yourself for deeper mastery ahead in your life today and beyond. Chapter 3: The Power of Controlled Distance. You have been living too close to your emotions. Every rise, every fall, every flicker of feeling pulled you forward, backward, sideways, never allowing you to stand still. You thought this was life, but it is reaction. You thought this was strength, but it is surrender. And in surrender, you have been drifting. Drifting into chaos, into exhaustion, into patterns that steal your energy, your clarity, your power. Now, imagine stepping back. Imagine creating a space between the storm inside and the choices you make outside. Just a little distance. Not coldness. Not indifference. Just separation, the kind that lets you see clearly, act deliberately, and own your decisions. That is the essence of controlled distance. That is the first weapon in your arsenal against overwhelm. The world will call it detachment. They will whisper that you are cold, distant, or unfeeling. They will not understand, because they are drowning in emotion while you are learning to float above it. Controlled distance is not withdrawal. It is armor. It is clarity. It is power wrapped in awareness. It does not mean you care less, it means you care wisely. Take a moment to feel how this works in practice. The next time frustration rises, the next time anger flares or disappointment knocks, pause. Step a single mental step back. Observe. Name what you feel. Label it. Watch it like a storm rolling across the sky, never forgetting that you are the observer, not the wind, not the rain. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to notice triggers. You begin to see how many of your emotional reactions are automatic, reflexive, habitual. And you realize you don't have to follow every reaction. You can choose which waves to ride and which to let pass. Distance creates perspective. Perspective creates clarity. Clarity creates power. But this is not a magic trick. It is a practice. It is repeated, intentional action. When you build a habit of observing before reacting, you regain control. When you build a habit of asking, "Is this mine? Does this serve me?" Before answering, you reclaim authority over your own mind. Every moment of choice becomes a moment of mastery. Contrast this with the life you have been living. Reactions dictating your day. Impulse steering your relationships. Every emotion bleeding into decisions, every decision bleeding into your life. That chaos, that absorption, is exhausting. It erodes your identity. It diminishes your presence. Every uncontrolled reaction is a piece of power surrendered. And when you realize the cost of surrender, you understand why controlled distance is not optional. It is essential. Controlled distance does not mean you avoid your feelings. On the contrary, it means you feel more fully but with structure. You allow the pain, the joy, the fear, and the excitement to pass through you, but you do not let them hijack you. You acknowledge them, respect them, but never give them the steering wheel. You are still human. You are still connected. You are still alive. But now you are the pilot of your own ship, not a passenger buffeted by waves you cannot navigate. Notice the subtle power this creates. One step back and suddenly, the argument that would have shattered your calm loses its grip. One step back, and the failure that would have crushed your confidence becomes a lesson you can learn from. One step back, and the anxiety that would have paralyzed your action becomes information you can process. You are not removing yourself from life, you are enhancing your capacity to engage with it intelligently. Start small. Observe a single emotion, breathe, name it. Separate the feeling from the action. Notice the difference between what you feel and what you must do. Build this habit relentlessly. It compounds. Like training a muscle, every repetition strengthens your ability to act with precision, to respond with intention, to live in control. This is no small thing. This is power. This is freedom. And freedom carries responsibility. As you step back from your own emotions, you begin to notice others more clearly too. You can respond instead of reacting. You can guide conversations, handle conflict, and navigate tension with authority. You are not being cold, you are being effective. You are not being distant, you are being conscious. You are not avoiding the world, you are mastering it. Controlled distance is the foundation. It is the bridge from emotional chaos to disciplined clarity. It is the armor that allows your sensitivity to become your greatest weapon. It does not make life easier. Life will still challenge you, but it makes you stronger. You can feel without being broken. You can engage without being consumed. You can love without losing yourself. You can act without being hijacked. Every step you take away from uncontrolled reaction, every breath between feeling and responding, every moment of awareness builds an unshakable structure inside you. That structure is your new identity, the identity of someone who feels deeply but stands firmly. Someone who navigates storms rather than being drowned by them. Someone whose mind is a sanctuary of focus. Whose heart is a temple of disciplined emotion, whose choices are deliberate, not reflexive. And now, having built the awareness, having felt the power of this separation, you are ready. Ready to deepen this practice. Ready to learn the tools, strategies, and exercises that transform controlled distance from a concept into a daily reality. Ready to step fully into the discipline that makes mastery possible. The next chapter will show you how to anchor this awareness into internal discipline, how to turn distance into consistency, and consistency into unshakable strength. Chapter 4. Training the observer within. There is a voice inside you that has been drowned out. The quiet one. The one that can see without judgment, that can witness without reacting, that can observe the chaos and still remain calm. You haven't ignored it because you are weak. You've ignored it because you've never been trained to listen. You've lived at the mercy of your reactions, believing that feeling intensely meant losing control. But the truth is, control begins with observation. Imagine stepping into a room filled with noise, confusion, tension, and still being able to feel the center. That center is the observer within. It is not a thought. It is not a plan. It is a state of presence. And it is the first step toward mastery. You begin training this inner witness through simple, deliberate acts, breathing, labeling, pausing. You inhale awareness, exhale reaction. You name your emotions as they rise: anger, fear, frustration, impatience, and in naming, you take power away from them. When your mind races, when old triggers spark, when emotions threaten to take control, you pause. Not to suppress, not to judge, not to run. You pause to witness. You pause to feel the emotion without letting it dictate your next move. That pause is a doorway. Behind it lies freedom. Behind it lies clarity. Behind it lies strength. Every pause trains your nervous system to respond with intention instead of reflex. Every pause rewires the loops that once ran you like a puppet on strings. Consider how much energy you have wasted, reacting to what could have been observed instead. Arguments escalated. Opportunities lost. Relationships strained. Confidence shaken. Each time you let emotion drive your action, you hand over your authority. But when you train the observer within, that authority returns. You start seeing the patterns, what triggers you, why it triggers you, and what you can choose instead. You start noticing the spaces between thought and action, between stimulus and response, between chaos and calm. And in those spaces, power grows. This is not theory. This is practice. Start with the body. Notice tension. Scan your shoulders, jaw, chest, stomach. Label it. Breathe into it. Allow it to exist without fighting it. Then move to the mind. Observe the narrative it tells you, the story of failure, rejection, fear, or self-doubt. Label it, witness it. Let it pass without judgment. Then bring attention to the heart. Feel the rise of emotion, the pull of desire, the ache of loss. Name it. Breathe through it. Watch it without sinking. You are not suppressing. You are not ignoring. You are training the muscle of observation, the muscle that turns sensitivity into strength. Weakness versus strength becomes a living contrast in this training. The weakness is giving in to every impulse, letting emotion dominate, losing perspective. Strength is stepping back, observing without immediate reaction, recognizing the patterns before they become problems, owning your choices before they own you. Each moment you practice observation, you strengthen that inner muscle. Each pause, each breath, each naming, you become less reactive and more deliberate. Less controlled by circumstance and more anchored in identity. The observer is patient. It waits, it notices without interference. It sees what others miss. It understands the layers beneath words, gestures, and situations. When you cultivate this presence, you start to experience life differently. Noise becomes signals. Chaos becomes data. Discomfort becomes opportunity. Emotional storms no longer sweep you away, they become waves you can navigate with skill. You are no longer a passenger in your mind. You are the pilot. Identity begins to shift subtly but profoundly. You begin to see yourself not as a prisoner of your feelings, but as a conscious participant in every moment. You are learning that your sensitivity is a gift, that your mind can be trained, that your reactions can be chosen. You feel a sense of calm mastery settling in where emotional chaos once reigned. The observer within becomes your constant companion, guiding you through moments that once would have broken you. You notice the difference in small ways at first, a conversation that no longer triggers defensiveness, a setback that no longer drains you, a moment of fear that no longer commands your body. And then the difference expands, your days feel lighter, your decisions sharper, your mind steadier. Weakness shrinks and strength grows. You realize that every moment of observation, every breath, every pause, is a step toward becoming unshakable from within. This inner witness is not passive. It is alive, alert, and ready. It is the foundation for true emotional independence. You are learning to feel deeply without losing yourself, to engage with the world without being consumed by it, to experience life fully, yet remain grounded in clarity. And as this muscle strengthens, you will carry it into every relationship. Every challenge, every choice, every storm. The next step is to expand this observer into full emotional independence, to use this awareness as a shield, a guide, and a source of power. Controlled distance becomes not just a tool, but a way of being. And with this foundation, you will begin to act with confidence, resilience, and unshakable composure. Your emotions will no longer own you. You will own them, and through this ownership, you step into the next stage of mastery. Chapter 5: Healthy Detachment vs. Emotional Numbness. You have heard the warning before: don't become cold. Don't shut down. Don't stop caring. And maybe that fear has held you back. Maybe it has made you doubt detachment. But here's the truth you need to hear: detachment is not coldness. Detachment is not numbness. Detachment is fire contained, clarity sharpened, and focus freed. It is not the absence of feeling, it is the mastery of feeling. Consider the difference. Emotional suppression locks the door on your heart. It quiets the voice of your own humanity. It turns your sensitivity into ice, numbing everything: joy, love, connection, leaving only emptiness in its place. Detachment, by contrast, is warmth with boundaries. It is fire harnessed with skill. You feel fully, but you are not consumed. You experience deeply, but you remain in control. You do not freeze yourself to protect yourself. You sharpen yourself to empower yourself. Think about moments when you have reacted to others without pause. When their anger became your anger. Their criticism became your fear. Their moods became the chains that bound your own. That is not detachment, that is absorption. That is confusion masquerading as connection. Detachment allows you to step back, to see clearly, to choose your response, to preserve your energy while engaging fully. It is the difference between losing yourself in the storm and standing at the center of it, unmoved. The ice of numbness is tempting. It promises safety. It whispers that if you feel less, you will be protected. But numbness is weakness disguised as security. It steals vitality, erases joy, and dims your ability to love. Detachment does the opposite. Detachment allows your sensitivity to become a weapon, your emotions to become allies, your inner fire to burn steadily without consuming you. It is intentional strength, not passive avoidance. Practice recognizing the difference. Notice when you feel yourself closing off, retracting, shrinking. That is numbness. Notice when you observe, breathe, pause, and choose your action. That is detachment. Numbness isolates. Detachment engages. Numbness fears emotion. Detachment wields it. The contrast is vivid, undeniable, and liberating. You are learning to live on the side of fire, not ice. Detachment also means clarity in your relationships. You no longer react automatically to the moods, opinions, or manipulations of others. You maintain connection without losing yourself. You express empathy without surrendering authority. You engage in love without attachment to approval. The line between care and control becomes crystal clear. You learn to honor yourself as much as you honor others, balancing compassion with presence, connection with independence. Notice the shift in your daily interactions. Conversations that once drained you no longer do. Criticism lands without pulling you under. Praise lands without inflating your ego. You are no longer tossed like a leaf in the wind of emotional turbulence. You are steady, intentional, and responsive. Detachment gives you access to your own energy, your own mind, your own life. You act not from compulsion, but from choice. You act not from fear, but from power. Yet, healthy detachment does not mean distance from reality. It does not mean avoidance. It does not mean apathy. Detachment is the discipline of presence. You are here, fully aware, fully engaged, fully human, but never hostage to chaos, never lost in reaction. It is a skill you build with attention, practice, and courage. And it grows stronger each time you pause before responding, each time you observe without absorbing, each time you feel without being swept away. The contrast is vivid. Ice versus fire. Numbness versus clarity. Apathy versus intentional strength. You see the path clearly now. You can honor your feelings without surrendering to them. You can love fully without losing yourself. You can engage with the world without being consumed by it. And in this space, your power begins to emerge not as a threat, but as a presence, steady and undeniable. This chapter prepares you for the next stage, applying detachment deliberately in your interactions, in your relationships, and in the moments that test your patience and integrity. You will learn how to carry your newfound clarity into the real world, transforming sensitivity into a structured, empowered, and intentional force. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You are becoming the master of them. Healthy detachment is your anchor. It allows your fire to burn brightly without consuming your life. It lets you feel fully while acting intentionally. It keeps your heart open and your mind sharp. And from this foundation, you are ready to navigate the world with focus, strength, and clarity, carrying the power of emotional freedom into every interaction, every challenge, every choice. The next chapter will teach you how to take this skill further. How to maintain boundaries and inner calm in relationships without losing warmth or humanity. You will learn how detachment becomes not just a tool, but a way of life, a force that protects, empowers, and elevates you above the chaos of uncontrolled emotion. Chapter 6. Detachment in Relationships. Without losing heart. Relationships can be beautiful. They can lift you, teach you, transform you. But they can also drain you, pull you under, and steal your clarity without warning. And too often, you have given yourself away in them. You have merged your identity with another, surrendered your boundaries, and believed that love required losing yourself. You thought attachment meant survival. You thought compromise meant surrender. But love without self-respect is not love, it is dissolution. Detachment in relationships is not distance. It is presence with boundaries. It is engagement without surrender. It is care without compromise of your identity. You can love fully without dissolving into someone else's world. You can feel deeply without being consumed by another's emotional storms. You can give without losing yourself, listen without being manipulated, and respond without being controlled. This is the art of relational detachment. It is not coldness, it is strength disguised as grace. Consider the times you felt overwhelmed by the expectations of others. The guilt, the obligation, the need to please. How many times did you agree to things you didn't want to do simply to maintain peace? How many times did you silence your own voice so that someone else's comfort would not be disrupted? That is not love, that is absorption. That is weakness masquerading as care. Healthy detachment allows you to hold your space while still being connected. You honor your own needs as much as you honor theirs. You set limits without blame. You communicate without fear. You engage without losing autonomy. Boundaries are the cornerstone of this practice. They are not walls, they are gates, chosen intentionally. They tell others, this is yours, this is mine. These boundaries are not imposed with judgment or anger, they are asserted with clarity and respect. They allow you to navigate relationships without losing energy, without sacrificing self-worth, without becoming reactive. Boundaries turn love into alignment, connection into empowerment, and intimacy into clarity. They are not barriers, They are the scaffolding that supports emotional health. The contrast is sharp. Pain versus self-respect. Dependence versus autonomy. Absorption versus presence. In the past, relationships may have cost you your voice. They may have cost you your peace. They may have cost you your identity. But detachment changes the balance. You step back not to escape, but to see clearly. You step back not to disengage, but to engage more effectively. You step back not to diminish love, but to enhance it by preserving what is yours. Your center, your clarity, your strength. Communication becomes a tool, not a battlefield. You learn to express your feelings without accusation, to assert your needs without demand, to respond without reaction. You learn to listen without absorbing, to empathize without surrendering. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to maintain emotional sovereignty while being fully present. You no longer collapse under someone else's energy. You no longer lose yourself to the drama of others. You maintain calm, focus, and intention. Even when emotions run high, you start noticing patterns you were blind to before. Moments when someone's words are manipulative. Times when guilt is being weaponized. Instances when compromise slips into surrender. And instead of reacting impulsively, you observe. You pause. You decide. You maintain your boundaries. You preserve your energy. You protect your center. Love is no longer a storm you are swept away by. It becomes a field you navigate with confidence. You also learn that detachment strengthens intimacy. Paradoxically, giving yourself space enhances connection. You become more present because you are less overwhelmed. You listen more deeply because you are not absorbed. You give more freely because it is not coerced by fear, guilt, or obligation. Love becomes intentional rather than compulsive. Relationships thrive when detachment protects both parties, your autonomy and theirs. This is the stage where sensitivity is balanced with strength, where empathy meets boundaries, where attachment is transformed into choice. You are not cold. You are not distant. You are aware, grounded, and resilient. You experience love, but you no longer surrender your center for it. You feel fully, care deeply, and act intentionally. You honor yourself while honoring others. You navigate the tension between closeness and independence with precision, and with this foundation, you are ready to take detachment beyond personal boundaries and into everyday interactions, professional settings, and moments of conflict. You have learned that love is not loss. Connection is not collapse. Boundaries are not rejection. Detachment is not withdrawal. It is power. It is freedom. It is clarity. And as you carry this into the world, every conversation, every negotiation, every relationship becomes a space where your center remains intact. And your influence grows. The next chapter will explore how to master emotional boundaries more deeply, turning this practice into a consistent shield that protects your energy and preserves your clarity in every aspect of life. You are building a life where your presence matters, your voice is heard, and your heart remains open without being consumed. Chapter 7. Mastering Emotional Boundaries. Your inner space is sacred. It is yours. What you allow in shapes your thoughts, your moods, your energy, your life. Yet too often, you have let anything in emotions, opinions, demands, judgments, without consent, without filtering, without clarity. You have absorbed energy that was never yours to carry, surrendered your peace to chaos, and allowed noise to drown out your own voice. Now that ends. Mastering emotional boundaries begins with awareness. Notice the moments when you feel drained, exhausted, irritated, or anxious after interactions. That is your signal, your body telling you that your space has been breached. These moments are not coincidences. They are feedback. They are evidence that you need limits. And the power lies in choosing what enters, what stays, and what leaves. You are the gatekeeper of your own inner world. Say it aloud. My space is mine. My energy is mine. My mind and heart are mine to protect. Repeat it until it feels unshakable. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates, consciously managed. They allow life, connection, and love in, but only what serves, nurtures, or aligns with your growth. Everything else is returned, redirected, or removed. You are not being selfish. You are being responsible. You are being strong. Contrast is your guide. Notice how saying yes out of guilt feels different from saying no with power. Feeling obligated to please drains you. Saying no intentionally, calmly, without apology, fills you with strength. You cannot honor others if you do not first honor yourself. You cannot give presents if your energy has been stolen. And every time you enforce a boundary, you reinforce your own authority over your emotions, your mind, and your life. Boundaries are learned through repetition. Start small. Protect your mornings. Guard your thoughts. Limit interactions that trigger unnecessary stress. Watch what you consume: news, social media, conversations. Observe the feelings that emerge. Decide what aligns with your energy. Decide what strengthens you. Decide what is yours to carry. Each choice compounds. Each act of protection reinforces your center. Over time, you will notice a shift from reactive exhaustion to steady presence, from scattered energy to focus, from chaos to control. Boundaries also protect your emotional state in relationships. You no longer absorb the moods of others automatically. You notice when someone projects their anger, fear, or insecurity onto you. You pause. You assess. You respond with clarity instead of being hijacked. You can engage with empathy, but never at the expense of your energy. You are grounded. You are centered. You are aware of your limits, and you honor them. Think about interactions at work, with friends, or with family. How often have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How often have you absorbed negativity because you felt obligated to listen? Those habits erode confidence. They diminish your ability to act intentionally. But once you enforce emotional boundaries, you reclaim your power. You can participate without losing yourself. You can connect without being consumed. You can engage without chaos. Visualization strengthens your boundaries. Picture your energy as a sphere surrounding you, impenetrable yet flexible. Imagine negative energy bouncing off, irrelevant opinions sliding past, emotional attacks failing to pierce your center. Inside this sphere, your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions remain pure, unbroken, undisturbed. Outside, the world rages, but you remain composed. You are not closed off. You are guarded. You are intentional. Boundaries are also proactive, not just reactive. Decide in advance what is acceptable and what is not. Decide which relationships, conversations, and influences are worth your attention. Decide how much emotional currency you are willing to spend, and on what. Your energy is finite. Treat it as such. Discipline in protecting your inner space builds consistency, resilience, and clarity. Notice the contrast again. Drained versus centered, reactive versus intentional, lost versus sovereign. Boundaries are the bridge that takes you from being a passive participant in life to being the architect of your emotional world. They allow detachment to grow stronger. They allow decisions to be deliberate rather than impulsive. They allow your sensitivity to function as strength rather than vulnerability. Every time you reinforce your boundaries, you strengthen your identity. You are no longer at the mercy of external chaos. You are no longer compelled by guilt, pressure, or manipulation. You are anchored in clarity, in power, in choice. This is internal discipline. This is the training ground for detachment from outcomes. Every boundary you enforce prepares you to act with precision, to feel deeply yet remain composed, to engage fully without losing control. Now, as your boundaries take root, you are ready to take the next step, releasing attachment to outcomes. You have protected your inner space. You have strengthened your center. You have reclaimed your energy. The next chapter will show how to maintain your calm, grounded position even when the world tests you with uncertainty, failure, or chaos. You are building a life where emotional mastery is not an aspiration, it is reality. Chapter 8. Letting go of attachment to outcomes. You have carried the weight of expectation for too long. The weight of results, of approval, of success measured by metrics you cannot fully control. The anxiety that tightens your chest, the tension that curls through your shoulders, the racing thoughts that refuse to slow, all of it is born from clinging. You have believed that outcomes define your worth. You have believed that control equals security. But the truth is, control is an illusion, and security lies in mastery of yourself. not the result of circumstances. Observe how obsession forms. The moment you equate effort with outcome, fear seeps in. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of imperfection. You chase results, twist in knots over what-ifs, and forget the only thing you can truly govern: your actions. Flow is lost. Discipline is compromised. Life becomes a chain of reactions to what may or may not happen. And yet the irony is clear: the more you cling, the less effective you become. The more you obsess, the less you achieve. Attachment to outcomes is the silent thief of peace. It steals your focus from what you can control and hands it to a world of uncertainty. It turns joy into anxiety, effort into compulsion, and action into desperation. But what if there was another way? A way to act with full intention yet remain unshaken by what unfolds. A way to pursue excellence without surrendering your inner calm. This is the art of releasing attachment while keeping engagement. Surrender is not passivity. It is not giving up. It is not apathy. Surrender is recognition, the acknowledgement that you cannot control everything, but you can control yourself. It is the discipline to act fully, then step back and allow life to respond. Obsession collapses into flow. Anxiety transforms into presence. Fear dissolves into trust, not trust in the world, but trust in your own capability, resilience, and judgment. You take responsibility for your effort, not for the unpredictable reactions of the universe. Imagine the liberation that comes when you stop measuring yourself by results outside your control. The pressure eases. The racing thoughts quiet. The panic that once accompanied decision-making lifts. You can act with clarity, knowing that your power is in the process, not the outcome. You are no longer a hostage to chance, opinion, or timing. You are anchored in effort, intention, and presence. That is freedom. That is strength. The contrast is vivid. Obsession versus flow. Desperation versus discipline. Fear versus trust. When attachment dominates, you move like a puppet, pulled by invisible strings of expectation. When detachment guides you, you move like a master, deliberate and responsive, guided by principles rather than panic. You notice the difference immediately. Your mind is clearer, your body is steadier, and your actions carry precision instead of compulsion. Practically, start by observing your impulses. When a result matters too much, pause. Take a breath. Assess your control. Focus on your effort, your preparation, your decision, and your execution, then release. Let the outcome unfold without tugging at your center. Repeat this practice. Repeat it until it becomes natural. Each repetition trains your mind to act without being enslaved by consequence. Each repetition shifts power back to you, where it belongs. Releasing attachment also strengthens resilience. When outcomes do not align with expectations, disappointment no longer shatters you. You no longer spiral into self-doubt or panic. Instead, you assess, adjust, and move forward. Your identity is no longer tied to the approval of others, the success of a project, or the result of a moment. You are free to act without fear, free to risk without hesitation, free to create without surrendering your peace. Notice how this practice transforms your daily life. Decisions become easier. Actions become more deliberate. Stress diminishes. Energy returns. You are no longer chasing results, you are pursuing mastery. You are no longer driven by panic, you are guided by clarity. You are no longer a prisoner of uncertainty, you are an architect of your focus. The liberation is tangible, cinematic, and transformative, and as you internalize this principle, you prepare for the next stage: detachment from external validation. Just as outcomes can enslave you, so too can the approval, praise, and judgment of others. By learning to release attachment to what unfolds externally, you build the foundation to release attachment to what others think of you. This next step takes your emotional independence to a new level, ensuring that your confidence, calm, and clarity remain intact regardless of circumstance. You are learning to act with power, to create with precision, and to live with freedom. Let go of the results you cannot control. Release the need to perfect every moment. Step fully into the process. Trust yourself. Trust your training. Trust your capacity to respond with clarity and intention. The storm may rage, the outcome may twist, The world may fluctuate, but your center, your calm, and your competence remain unshaken. The next chapter will guide you in detaching from validation, while maintaining authenticity, allowing you to operate from internal authority rather than external approval. You are building a life where freedom and responsibility coexist, where power is grounded in presence, and where your actions are no longer dictated by fear, but by mastery. Chapter 9. Silencing the need for approval. You have been performing for an audience that does not exist. You have molded yourself to the expectations, judgments, and fleeting applause of others. Every word, every action, every decision shaped by the desire to be seen, liked, or validated. And yet, even when praise comes, it is fleeting. Even when recognition arrives, it does not satisfy. Because when your worth is borrowed from outside, it is never enough. You are living as a reflection, not as yourself. The root of insecurity lies here: independence on approval. The world becomes your measure, its judgments your compass, its attention your fuel. You chase praise. You fear criticism. You bend, adjust, and accommodate until the contours of your own identity blur. And what have you gained? Anxiety, self-doubt, exhaustion, a constant gnawing emptiness. Approval is a drug with a short half-life, leaving you craving more, never satiated. Contrast this with self-alignment. Contrast borrowed worth with your own. Imagine standing before the world, unshaken by applause or derision. Imagine acting from principle, not panic. From clarity, not fear. Imagine choosing every word, every action, every thought based on your values, your vision, your standards, not someone else's fleeting opinion. That is power. That is freedom. That is authenticity. The first step is confrontation. Look at yourself and admit the truth. You have sought validation at the cost of your center. You have dimmed your light to avoid discomfort. You have silenced your voice to avoid conflict. Enough. Say it aloud. I will no longer live for the approval of others. I will measure my worth by my own alignment, my own discipline, my own integrity. Let those words sink into your bones. Let them echo in your mind until they are unshakable. You begin replacing applause with authenticity. You begin replacing approval with alignment. When recognition comes, you accept it, but it does not define you. When criticism comes, you hear it, but it does not break you. You act from your own code, not from another's judgment. You take responsibility for your own standards and refuse to let external voices dictate your value. The more you practice, the more automatic this becomes. Your center solidifies, your confidence grows. Your presence becomes magnetic, not because others elevate you, but because you elevate yourself. Every interaction becomes a test. Every opinion offered is an opportunity. And in each, you ask yourself, do I act from alignment or from the need to be seen? When you act from alignment, you are free. When you act from approval, you are enslaved. The contrast is stark, undeniable, liberating. The applause fades, but your sense of self remains. The criticism pierces, but your clarity shields. You are untouchable from within. Notice how this changes relationships, work, and life. You no longer manipulate, over-explain, or overperform. You no longer bend to please or seek validation. You speak with confidence, act with intention, and move through the world with calm authority. Others may respond with admiration or resistance. It does not matter. You are aligned, you are present, you are grounded. Your energy is preserved. Your choices are deliberate. Your integrity is intact. This is also about energy management. When you stop chasing approval, you stop giving away power. You conserve focus, attention, and emotional bandwidth for what truly matters. You invest in effort, in growth, in mastery, not in applause. Every moment spent seeking validation is a moment stolen from creation, from discipline, from purpose. Reclaim it. Every refusal to yield to external judgment builds your fortress, your foundation, your unshakable self. It is uncomfortable at first. People may resist. Your own mind may rebel. You may feel the pull of old habits, the craving for affirmation, the seductive whisper of approval. But strength grows through tension. Discipline grows through resistance. And the more you endure, the more you become the kind of person who cannot be shaken by applause or derided by critique. You are your own standard, your own measure. your own anchor. The next stage is mastery of emotional neutrality. Once you have silenced the need for approval, you are prepared to face high-pressure situations with calm, unflappable clarity. You will learn to act without reaction, respond without surrender, and maintain composure even when the stakes are highest. Validation is no longer your compass. Your internal authority guides every step. You are moving from reaction to mastery, from dependence to sovereignty, from chaos to clarity. Now, embrace the mantra. I measure myself by my alignment, not their approval. I act from my center, not their applause. My value is constant. My focus is unshakable. My power is mine. Repeat it. Live it. Build it into every decision, every conversation, every interaction. You are no longer performing. You are being. You are not swayed. You are grounded. You are free. And as you step into the next chapter, you will discover the pinnacle of this journey, emotional neutrality in the face of pressure, chaos, and unpredictability. You will act with intention, lead with calm, and remain anchored when everything around you seeks to destabilize you. Approval is silenced. Control of self is gained. Mastery is near. Chapter 10: Staying Neutral in Moments of Chaos. Chaos is everywhere. Life erupts without warning: a sudden argument, a failed plan, a betrayal. A storm of responsibilities, expectations, and emotions crashes over you, and the instinct is to react, to lash out, to panic, to crumble. That is what most people do. That is the natural pull of untrained emotion. But you are no longer most people. You are training to stand in the eye of the storm. You are training to remain neutral. Neutrality is not indifference. It is not disengagement. It is presence, fully awake, fully aware, fully composed. It is the skill of observing the chaos, feeling the intensity, and holding your center without surrender. When the world trembles around you, you do not tremble with it. You do not allow anger, fear, or frustration to hijack your mind. You are grounded. You are steady. You are the calm at the heart of the storm. The contrast is immediate. Reaction pulls you into the chaos, your mind scattered, your energy depleted, your power surrendered. Neutrality anchors you, your mind clear, your choices deliberate, your presence unshakable. This is not theoretical. It is practical. Every conflict, every challenge, every emotional upheaval is a training ground. Every moment that would break the unprepared becomes an opportunity to reinforce your mastery. Begin with breath. The simplest tool is often the most powerful. Inhale fully, exhale completely. Let tension leave your body. Let your heartbeat settle. Let the mind pause. When conflict erupts or stress tightens its grip, return to your breath. It is your tether to the present, your anchor in the chaos. Your proof that control can exist even when the world spins wildly. Observation is next. Witness the situation without judgment. Label the emotions, the thoughts, the reactions, yours and others. Name the fear, the anger, the frustration. Do not absorb them. Do not react. Simply notice. In this space, you create choice. Observation is the bridge between impulse and action. It transforms panic into clarity, reaction into response, turbulence into control. Centering is the third pillar. Visualize your ground. Feel your connection to it. Imagine roots extending deep into stability, unmovable by external pressure. Your stance is firm, your spine erect, your energy contained. Chaos may rage around you, but you are anchored. You are solid. You are unshaken. And in that solidity lies power, the power to act deliberately, speak intentionally, and lead without fear. Neutrality also requires emotional detachment. You feel, but you do not fuse. You understand the stakes, but you do not collapse under them. You engage, but you are not consumed. Emotional neutrality is not numbness, it is mastery. It is strength disguised as calm. It is clarity disguised as composure. It is the ultimate expression of discipline over instinct. Contrast again. Chaos versus clarity. Reaction versus controlled presence. Confusion versus intentional action. When most people are swept away by the storm, you are grounded. When most hearts race and minds panic, yours remains calm. This is not luck, this is training, this is skill. Every breath, every pause, every act of observation builds it. Every moment of maintaining neutrality strengthens it. Now, apply it. In meetings where tension spikes, remain composed. In arguments where voices rise, speak with clarity. In emergencies where decisions must be swift, act from principle, not panic. In your personal life, when conflict or drama seeks to draw you. Step back, breathe, observe, and respond deliberately. Every practice strengthens the neural pathways of calm mastery. Every practice trains you to be unshakable. Neutrality is also preparation for transformation. By remaining unmoved in chaos, you gain access to clarity and power that others cannot reach. You can see opportunities where others see only threat. You can make decisions where others are paralyzed. You can act from strategy rather than emotion, from intention rather than impulse. This is the foundation for turning emotional pain into personal power, the ultimate mastery of self. And yes, it will be tested. The world thrives on testing the unprepared. People, circumstances, and events will push. They will provoke. They will attempt to shake you. Your instincts will scream to react. And your training is your shield, breath, observation, centering, neutrality. Repeat. Repeat until it is second nature. Repeat until chaos cannot unsettle you. Repeat until mastery is automatic. This is where the work becomes real. Neutrality is not an idea, it is a lived experience. It is the difference between surrendering to life and commanding it. It is the difference between being a passenger in your own story and being the author. Chaos is inevitable. Neutrality is a choice. And when you choose it consistently, when you make it your default, when you embody it as habit, you step into a level of control, calm, and power that is rare and unstoppable. The next chapter will teach you how to take this neutrality further, how to transform emotional pain, loss, and adversity into fuel for growth and strength. You will learn how to turn suffering into energy, challenges into mastery, and internal chaos into unshakable power. Stand in the storm. Breathe, observe, center, remain neutral. Your strength begins here, but it does not end. Your mastery is just beginning. Chapter 11. Turning emotional pain into strength. You have carried it for too long. The hurt, the disappointment, the heartbreak, the moments that tore at your chest and left you hollow. You have hidden it, avoided it, numbed it, or tried to outrun it. But all of that pain has a purpose. It is not a curse. It is raw, unrefined energy, waiting to be forged into strength. Every wound, every betrayal, every failure is a tool if you know how to wield it. Imagine your pain as fire. At first, it burns uncontrollably. It consumes. It licks at your resolve and leaves ashes in its wake. But fire can be tamed. Fire can be harnessed. Fire can illuminate the darkest paths. Your past is not a prison, it is fuel. Your mistakes are not shackles, they are lessons. Your losses are not endings, they are beginnings. When you shift perspective, what once weakened you now empowers you. Contrast is vivid. Weakness versus wisdom. Suffering versus insight. Despair versus resilience. Each time you revisit a memory that hurt you, you can choose not to collapse, but to examine it. What did it teach you? What did it reveal about your strength, your limits, your values? The raw sensation of pain becomes a mirror, reflecting your growth, your endurance, your capacity to rise. Pain is no longer your enemy, it is your teacher, your coach, your forge. You begin by naming it. Call your pain by its true name: betrayal, rejection, grief, regret, failure. Give it form. Give it weight. Then breathe into it. Observe it. Own it without letting it own you. Feel the ache fully, then release it. Let it transform. Every repetition strengthens your inner armor. Every acknowledgement converts anguish into clarity. You stop running. You stop hiding. You stop surrendering your energy to what once broke you. Next, harness it. Channel the emotion into action. Let the lessons guide your decisions. Let the fire drive your discipline. Let the heartbreak sharpen your focus. The energy that once scattered you becomes a force that propels you forward. Pain now serves purpose. Weakness becomes strategy. Loss becomes insight. Every setback becomes a springboard. Every scar a mark of resilience. Every tear a reservoir of power. Notice how your identity begins to shift. You are no longer defined by what happened to you, you are defined by how you respond. You are no longer fragile, you are forged. You are no longer victim, you are victor. Your past does not diminish you, it distinguishes you. It is proof that you survived. Proof that you endured. Proof that you have the strength to rise again and again and again. Contrast continues to drive transformation. Chaos versus control. Hopelessness versus action. Weakness versus mastery. The emotions that once threatened to drown you now serve as fuel for your journey. They give intensity to your focus, depth to your understanding, and courage to your steps. Pain is no longer a liability, it is your weapon. Suffering is no longer a burden, it is your armor. Visualization strengthens this process. Picture each past hurt as a stone. At first the pile is heavy, impossible to carry. But as you engage with it consciously, as you observe it, as you transform it, you lift each stone. You place it beneath your feet, building a foundation. Every heartbreak becomes a platform. Every disappointment becomes a step. Every scar becomes a pillar. You climb higher, stronger, more unshakable. Pain becomes power, and you rise upon it. You also reframe the narrative of failure. Each time you failed, you learned. Each time you lost, you adapted. Each time you were broken, you repaired yourself stronger. Your history is not a story of weakness, it is a story of mastery and progress. Your mistakes are your teachers. Your struggles are your curriculum. Your pain is the energy you now convert into skill, discipline, and focus. And as your inner fire grows, you prepare for long-term discipline. The lessons of pain are not fleeting, they are permanent. The strength forged in adversity becomes the foundation of your self-command. Detachment, neutrality, boundaries, and internal authority all are amplified by the power drawn from your past. You now understand, the challenges you endured were not obstacles, they were catalysts. The next stage is sustaining this power. Once pain becomes fuel, mastery becomes habit. You learn to preserve your energy, focus your effort, and remain unshakable over time. The foundation of emotional independence you have built is now reinforced by resilience born of hardship. You are stronger than the chaos that comes. You are wiser than the fear that lurks. You are empowered by every tear shed, every loss endured, and every battle survived. Stand tall and repeat it to yourself. My pain is my power. My weakness is my wisdom. My past is my foundation. I rise stronger with every trial. I am unshakable. I am resilient. I am free. Feel the truth of it in your bones. Let it resonate through your mind. Let it fuel your every action. The fire that once consumed you now propels you. The next chapter will teach you how to sustain this mastery. How detachment, discipline, and clarity combine to maintain long-term focus, strength, and self-command. Pain has become power. The journey continues, but now it continues from a place of strength, clarity, and unshakable authority. Chapter 12. The Discipline of Staying Detached. Detachment is not a one-time achievement. It is not a trick you learn once and apply forever. Detachment is a lifestyle. It is the constant choice to remain anchored while life tosses chaos, temptation, and emotional turbulence your way. Every day presents opportunities to surrender, to react, to fall back into old patterns. And every day presents the chance to stand firm, to act deliberately, and to preserve clarity no matter the storm. Short-term emotion is seductive. It pulls you into drama, panic, or indulgence. It whispers that instant gratification, immediate reaction, or unchecked feeling is acceptable. But you have trained to resist it. You have built boundaries, observed your triggers, released attachment, and turned pain into power. Now, the discipline of detachment is about sustaining that mastery even when the world fights against it. When your instincts scream, when your old habits tug at your center, practice begins with awareness. Notice when temptation arises, whether in the form of anger, distraction, indulgence, or attachment. Do not judge yourself. Simply observe. Name it. Label it. Pause. This pause creates choice. You are no longer at the mercy of instinct. You are no longer swept away by reaction. You are the calm in the storm, the decision maker, the authority of your own emotional world. Routine strengthens discipline. Build daily habits that reinforce detachment, morning reflection, journaling, meditation, mindful observation, and conscious breathing. Review your boundaries. Reassess your attachments. Check your emotional temperature. Each small, repeated action compounds over time. Detachment is not a single act, it is the accumulation of consistent practice. Every day you enforce it, you reinforce it. Every day you surrender it, you weaken it. Contrast drives comprehension. Immediate emotion versus long-term mission. Impulse versus intention. Chaos versus purpose. The pull of momentary satisfaction is strong, but the rewards of sustained mastery are immeasurable. Every time you choose clarity over impulse, you strengthen focus. Every time you maintain boundaries, you deepen resolve. Every time you release attachment to outcome or approval, you expand your freedom. This is not theoretical. It is practical, measurable, and transformative. Even setbacks are part of the process. Moments of relapse, disappointment, or emotional overwhelm will come. You will feel the old grip of reactive living. You will taste the pull of attachment. That is not failure. That is feedback. Detachment is strengthened by awareness of weakness, not denial of it. When you stumble, observe, learn, correct, return. Each reset reinforces mastery. Each recovery builds resilience. Each conscious choice strengthens your anchor. Detachment also sharpens focus and ambition. When your mind is unburdened by chaos, your energy is preserved for what truly matters. Distractions lose their grip. Drama fades into insignificance. Emotional turbulence no longer dictates your priorities. You act with clarity, pursue goals with intensity, and navigate challenges with composure. The more consistently you practice detachment, the more disciplined, focused, and unstoppable you become. Relationships, work, and life itself flow differently. You maintain connection without surrender. You engage without being absorbed. You express without overreacting. You lead without being dictated by emotion. You act with intention in every interaction. You no longer lose energy to fleeting feelings. You no longer give your power to circumstance or opinion. Detachment allows you to be fully present while preserving sovereignty over your mind, heart, and energy. Visualization solidifies the habit. Picture yourself moving through the day as an unshakable force. Storms arise, challenges appear, emotions flare, but your center remains intact. Your breath is steady. Your mind is clear. Your decisions are deliberate. You are present. You are in control. You are detached without detachment diminishing you. Detachment amplifies you. It protects, empowers, and liberates you. Mantras reinforce discipline. Repeat to yourself, I act with clarity. I remain anchored. I preserve my energy. I choose my response. I serve my long-term mission, not fleeting impulses. I am disciplined. I am free. I am the master of my emotional world. Repeat until automatic. Repeat until unshakable. Repeat until every challenge, temptation, or emotional upheaval passes through you without disruption. Finally, integrate detachment into ambition. Life's highest achievements require sustained focus, unbroken energy, and unwavering calm. Emotional storms will come, distractions will persist, and setbacks will test your resilience. But the discipline of detachment ensures that your mission remains uninterrupted. Your choices are deliberate. Your energy is optimized. Your mind is clear. Your vision is unhindered. Detachment is not avoidance, it is acceleration. A way to operate above chaos while remaining fully engaged in what matters. As you live this daily practice, detachment becomes natural, instinctive, and automatic. It is no longer an exercise, it is your identity. Your decisions, your energy, your focus, your calm, everything is aligned with your center, your mission, and your mastery. You move through life with precision, power, and grace. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance or emotion. You are sovereign. You are free. You are disciplined. The next stage of this journey, though beyond this chapter, is taking the clarity, energy, and strength you have cultivated and applying it to every aspect of your life, turning emotional mastery into consistent, lifelong achievement. You are now prepared to act, to endure, and to excel without being derailed by temporary emotion, external chaos, or fleeting distractions. Stand firm, breathe, observe, act deliberately. Preserve your center. Let detachment guide your mission. Let it protect your focus. Let it sharpen your ambition. You are no longer reactive, you are deliberate. You are no longer scattered, you are precise. You are no longer dependent, you are sovereign. The discipline of staying detached is not just a habit. It is the foundation of mastery, the engine of purpose, and the architecture of an unshakable life. Chapter 1-3 Focus, Ambition, and the Detached Mind. You have arrived. The chaos that once controlled you, the emotions that once dictated your every action, the distraction that once stole your energy, all of it has been transformed. You are no longer reactive. You are no longer overwhelmed. You have cultivated the discipline of detachment, the mastery of boundaries, and the power to turn pain into strength. And now, detachment evolves into something greater: mental clarity, unshakable focus, and relentless ambition. Distraction is the silent thief of potential. It creeps in through worry, through attachment, through the constant pull of other people's expectations. But you no longer surrender to it. You have learned to observe, to pause, to center yourself. You have practiced neutrality, released attachment to outcomes, and silenced the need for approval. And as a result, the mental space you once gave to chaos is now a battlefield cleared for strategy, creativity, and relentless drive. Contrast sharpens comprehension. Comfort versus discipline. Chaos versus clarity. Reactive wandering versus deliberate focus. The mind once clouded by emotion now operates like a precision instrument. Every thought is sharper. Every decision is more deliberate. Every action aligns with your highest purpose. You feel a power that comes not from external validation or fleeting highs, but from an internal engine fueled by control, clarity, and detached focus. Ambition flourishes in this space. Freed from emotional turbulence, your energy channels toward goals that matter. You no longer waste effort on drama, distraction, or compulsive reactions. You act with intention, execute with precision, and pursue with unrelenting commitment. The detached mind is not passive, it is hyper-efficient, laser-focused, and unstoppable. Where others are scattered, you concentrate. Where others are reactive, you respond with strategy. Where others are weighed down, you rise with purpose. Creativity also awakens. Emotional clutter once blocked inspiration. Anxiety, doubt, and overreaction consumed mental bandwidth. Now that space is clear. Ideas flow. Insight arrives. Innovation emerges. You are able to see connections others miss, plan with foresight, and act with vision. The detached mind is free, not from life, not from passion, but from the noise that clouds execution. Focus becomes your superpower. Clarity becomes your compass. Ambition becomes your vehicle. Discipline is reinforced by consistency. Every boundary you maintain, every pause you take, every habit of detachment compounds over time. Emotional mastery is no longer an exercise, it is instinct. Neutrality is no longer a tool, it is your default. You do not chase clarity. Clarity is your environment. You do not battle distraction. Focus is your foundation. You do not depend on others' reactions. Your ambition is self-sustained. You are a force operating above chaos, guided by strategy, anchored by presence, propelled by intention. Contrast continues to drive understanding. The mind that once wandered aimlessly, reacting to every stimulus, now moves deliberately, executing with discipline. The person who once sought comfort, surrendering to impulses, now thrives in the tension of purpose. Emotional noise is replaced by mental precision. Weakness is replaced by command. Comfort is replaced by relentless pursuit. The detached mind is free to act with maximum impact, without the interference of chaos or distraction. Visualization solidifies this state. Imagine a laser cutting through fog. Imagine a hawk soaring above the forest, seeing everything, reacting only when necessary, guided by instinct and clarity. Imagine a mind completely unburdened, moving with absolute intention toward its target. That is your detached mind. Every boundary, every practice, every chapter you have worked through builds this capability. It is no longer aspiration, it is your reality. Mantras reinforce the integration of detachment into your ambition. I act with focus. I pursue with clarity. I execute with intention. I am free from distraction. My energy is preserved. My mind is disciplined. My ambition is unstoppable. Repeat it. Live it. Internalize it. Let it guide your every decision. Let it fuel your every action. Let it remind you that mastery is no longer optional, it is your identity. The contrast is profound. Where once emotion dictated, now intellect and will command. Where once pain paralyzed, now power propels. Where once distraction scattered, now focus conquers. You have become a person who does not merely survive emotional chaos, you rises above it. Transforming clarity into action and detachment into unstoppable ambition. As you prepare for the closing, integrate this fully. Detachment is no longer a skill or a practice. It is not a tool you deploy selectively. It is your identity. It shapes how you think, how you act, and how you achieve. Emotional mastery, focus, and ambition are now inseparable parts of who you are. You move through the world with purpose, resilience, and unshakable clarity. The final chapter will synthesize all you have learned, showing how to carry detachment, focus, and discipline forward into lifelong mastery. Every skill, every insight, every practice becomes integrated into your identity, creating a life of power, clarity, and unstoppable forward momentum. You have transformed from overwhelmed to empowered, from reactive to deliberate, from scattered to focused. You are ready to claim the life you were meant to lead, becoming the calm force in a chaotic world. You began this journey carrying everything, every emotion, every expectation, every pressure of the world pressing on your chest. You felt too much. You reacted too quickly. You were at the mercy of chaos, overwhelmed by noise, and exhausted by the constant pull of people, outcomes, and circumstances. Life felt heavy, unpredictable, and relentless. And yet, here you are. Look at how far you have come. The sensitivity you once feared has become strength. The pain you once avoided has been transformed into fuel. Boundaries, detachment, neutrality, they are no longer concepts. They are habits. They are instincts. They are the framework of who you are now. Where once you were scattered and reactive, now you are grounded, deliberate, and precise. You are the calm in the storm. Contrast is the measure of transformation. Who you were, the person tossed by every emotional wave, driven by fear, attachment, and approval, is gone. Who you are now stands solid, anchored in clarity and discipline. Where chaos once dictated your life, intention now leads. Where emotional turbulence once stole your energy, focus now channels it. Where fear once ruled, calm mastery guides. The difference is profound. You feel deeply, but you are no longer carried away. You see clearly, but you no longer flinch at the world's unpredictability. The journey was not easy. You faced discomfort, confrontation, and the temptation to retreat. You wrestled with old patterns, surrendered attachment, silenced the need for validation, and converted pain into power. Every chapter, every practice, every repetition shaped you into a person who does not merely endure life but commands it. Your emotional waves no longer control you, they empower you. You have become a force that others feel but cannot destabilize. This calm is not passivity. It is strength. It is awareness. It is command. You act when action is required. You pause when reflection is necessary. You respond with precision when life tests you. You are anchored even when the world shifts beneath your feet. You are a master of your energy, your choices, and your focus. You are free. You are powerful. You are unshakable. Now, take this into the world. You will encounter chaos, disappointment, and conflict, but you will meet it with presence, not panic. You will engage with clarity, not compulsion. You will act with intention, not reaction. Others will sway, falter, and crumble, but you remain steady. Your calm is magnetic. Your discipline is visible. Your focus is undeniable. You are no longer shaped by the noise. You shape your environment with your command of self. Remember the lessons you have learned. Observe before reacting. Protect your energy with boundaries. Release attachment to outcomes and approval. Transform pain into power. Stay neutral in chaos. Act with clarity. Maintain focus. Each practice is a thread in the armor of your emotional mastery. Woven together, they create an unbreakable framework for living, achieving, and thriving. Contrast once more guides your reflection. You were reactive. You were overwhelmed. You were tethered to the world's fluctuations. Now you are deliberate. You are grounded. You are free. The transformation is complete not because the world changed, but because you changed. Not because the chaos disappeared, but because you mastered your response to it. Not because pain ended, but because you converted it into power, clarity, and focus. Step forward into your life fully aware of this truth. Sensitivity is a gift. Discipline is a weapon, and detachment is freedom. Feel deeply, but remain centered. Care profoundly, but act deliberately. Love fully, but maintain your boundaries. Strive relentlessly, but remain unshakable. You are the calm force in a chaotic world. You are the embodiment of clarity, control, and mastery. The journey does not end here, it evolves. Every day offers the chance to practice, refine, and expand your mastery. Every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every emotional storm is a training ground. And as you continue, remember, you are not defined by the chaos around you. You are defined by the strength, clarity, and calm you carry within. Stand tall. Breathe deeply. Move deliberately. Engage fully. Your transformation is complete, yet ongoing. You are no longer swept away. You are anchored. You are empowered. You are free. You are unshakable. You are the calm force the world cannot move.